A lovely good morning to our viewers. Welcome to another exciting edition of the Camnet TV Breakfast Show of today being the 7th of June 2022. I am your host Miriam Kaimba. I will be joined later on by my colleague Zipporah Mshala on the show. But you know, when we come on this show, we always try by all means to bring you nothing but the best of what is happening in the current affairs, business world, as well as the courts. But before we go much into details discussing what we have lined up for you this morning, we'll go direct into our morning boost. Catch us on the other side.
Good morning, Camnet viewers, and welcome to Morning Boost. I'm so glad that you've tuned in. Let's do some simple basic workouts for you to stay fit and you go about your day. All right, so we'll start with a warm-up for a minute. Let's go. That's 1 minute warm-up to warm up your body. Relax your muscles. Let's bounce. Let's go. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and how are you? It's good. So it's gonna be a 1 minute warm-up. Just a warm-up, let's go. Almost there. Okay, we're gonna run now. Let's go. So we're gonna work out for 3 minutes, and thereafter we'll do a cool down. We're cooling down. Let's go. See what I'm doing? That's the movement of my feet. That. I need that from you. Let's go. Let's run. Let's go. Very basic today. Keep going. And 4, 3, 2, march now. Okay, that was your first workout. Let's go to the next one. Kicks now. 1. Kick and let the blood circulate on your legs. Let's go. 3 minutes workout. After that, you do a cool down. Kick. Let's go. Kick. Bring it to the knee now. Knee high. Squeeze the tummy when you do that. Let's go. Squeeze here. Go. Squeeze here. That's the part I'm working on. Let's go. Easy. Back to running now. Let's go. You need this every morning. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Go. And kick now. Kick, side kick. This side. Back. This side. Kick. Go. Lift your leg high and kick. Go, go, go. And that's all you need every morning. Let's conclude now. Let's go. And let's run. Let's run. Bring in the kick now. Kick. Kick. Again. Kick. Bring it to the knee now. Knee. Knee. Last kicks. This one. And this one. This one. Let's go. Imagine. Very simple what you've done today. Looks like you have not done anything, and yet it's able to work out. Let's march. Let's go. You're almost there. It's almost 5 minutes of a workout. So thank you so much for tuning in. Basic workouts in there today, and have a blessed day. And I'm signing out. My name is Isaac Matsa.
Thank you for still staying tuned with us. I hope you did exercise and enjoyed that morning boost. We always emphasize when we come on this show that it's very, very important for each and every single person to exercise every single day in the morning. Now, later at 7:30 hours, we'll be having a guest in studio, and we will be discussing about the reforming the Cybersecurity Act of 2020. You know, we had different views from people commenting on the issue. So at 07:30, we will be opening our phone lines to discuss on the topic. And later on at 8 hours, we will be joined by another guest, and we're going to be looking at teacher recruitment exercise in Zambia. I know this has been a hot topic since last week. We have a lot of people commenting on the issue. Anyway, in studio, like I said earlier on before we went on that morning boost, that I'll be joined by my colleague Zipporah Mshala. Good morning, Zipporah.
Good morning, Miriam. How are you?
I'm fine.
I hope you enjoyed the morning boost. You look like you didn't join.
No, I did. Why did you look so? And you know, Elias behind the camera was busy telling me, Mimi, don't do it like that. He said, Elias, I'm the master in this field, you know, I do exercise every single day in the morning. Exactly. How have you been?
No, been alright, but today I didn't join, unfortunately, in the morning boost, but I'm sure I'll join tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yes, and so at 7:30, like you earlier alluded to, we're going to be joined by the Cybersecurity Initiative Foundation President, Mr. John Tisenki, who's going to just help us discuss cyber safety in Zambia, as well as reformations concerning the cyber security law of 2021, because this law was brought into effect in April of 2021 towards the elections. But then just 2 weeks ago, we heard Minister of Technology and Science, Mr. Felix Mutati, stating that this law needs to be reformed. So Mr. Tsenki is going to actually help us discuss the depoliticization of laws, because there were some allegations that the law was actually enforced just to curtail the cyberspace. So we're going to handle all those issues, and then also going to look at the trending issue of teacher recruitment with the basic Education Teachers Union spokesperson, Mr. Kavika Kakunta, who is going to just help us discuss the teacher recruitment exercise. Yesterday, or should I say this week, we saw Southern Province Minister, Mr. Cornelius Muito, actually stating that some teachers that were on his list were not part of those that were going to be recruited. And so that indicates that these were not local teachers. Now, this has brought a lot of debate, with some alleging that it is tribalism, but Mr. Muito actually on Facebook yesterday, on the official UPND page, actually indicated that what he meant by that was local in terms of residents and not in terms of tribe. But anyway, that has brought a lot of debate, and we're just going to have the two spokesperson help us discuss transparency and other issues, zooming into the teacher recruitment exercise. Miriam?
Yes, so right about now, Zipporah, like I always say, it's very important that you know what exactly is happening in the health sector. So right about now, we'll go direct into our health corner and see what the doctors have for us.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Ma Asambang, and I'm from the Medical Women's Association of Zambia. Yesterday we spoke on hepatitis B, the prevalence of it worldwide, as well as in Zambia. Today we're going to focus on the diagnosis. Hepatitis B is diagnosed via drawing of the blood, and what happens is we test for hepatitis B surface antigen, or also known as the HBs antigen. Once we test and a positive finding is determined, then we do further tests. Some of these tests include an ultrasound, fibroscan, hemogram, or a full blood count, a liver function test, and if someone is HIV positive, we do a CD4 count and a viral load. Also, we do an HBV viral load, or a hepatitis B viral load. Because as I mentioned yesterday, that hepatitis B is a virus that causes an infection upon the liver. Now, when it comes to diagnosis, there are times that someone may have a false hepatitis B positive finding on a rapid test. And so what we usually do is we draw the blood, then we send it to the lab for a thorough test. Now, false testing is lower than 80%. In other words, a rapid test is usually accurate when it comes to a hepatitis B test. However, there are times where someone may need confirmation, and so that is when we would take it a step further and do a blood test. Now, what you need to understand is once you're diagnosed with hepatitis B, you're not automatically placed on treatment. And so that is why I mentioned the other tests that we do, because we need to follow you up as the hepatitis B positive individual. When we receive your test results, we have to look for anything that is elevated or lower than normal. For example, the platelet count. Now, platelets are responsible for clotting, and our liver is one of the sole sources of our body clotting, or the blood coalescing to prevent further blood loss. And so whenever our liver is affected by hepatitis B, then that also becomes compromised. When it comes to the liver function, we're talking about the ALT, of which if someone has hepatitis B, sometimes that can elevate, and other times it would remain normal, of which we consider that as an immune tolerant phase. In other words, your immune system is only reacting to the virus. What happens is the HBV viral load increases while the ALT remains normal. And sometimes you find that both the ALT and the HBV viral load will increase, of which that is indicative of an immune active phase. And so the general overview of hepatitis B is it starts to mess with the immune system. And sometimes you find that people are able to manage it, whereas some are not. For example, in a patient who has HIV, they may have an immune active phase. Remember, I said the viral load and the ALT will increase in such a case. And that's because the immune system is already compromised. Now, I know I keep mentioning HIV. However, let's also remember that someone who is immunocompromised may also have diabetes. They may also have cancer. And so hepatitis B is all dependent on how the patient is, what their existing condition may be. And if so, will this condition worsen the condition of the liver? Each case is unique on its own. Hence, when it comes to diagnosis, it is not one size fits all. Thank you so much for tuning in once again. There's so much more that we have to learn about hepatitis B, especially in our society. Thank you for tuning in to Camnet TV, and I'll see you tomorrow.
So that was our health corner. I hope you learned one or two things from what the doctor said. And just a reminder to our viewers out there that the health segment is actually up for sponsorship. And just like the next segment, which is the money market. So do take advantage of these opportunities and get visibility for your product. So let's take a look at today's money market. So we have the we have the euro, which is buying at 18 kwacha 89 ngwe, selling at 19 kwacha 26 ngwe. The Great British Pound, which is buying at 21 kwacha 2 ngwe, selling at 21 kwacha 43 ngwe. The United States dollar, which is buying at 16 kwacha 75 ngwe, selling at 17 kwacha 8 ngwe. The South African rand, which is buying at 1 kwacha 9 ngwe, and selling at 1 kwacha 11 ngwe. And our interest actually is in the US dollar, Miriam, as you can see, 16 kwacha 75 ngwe.
Yeah.
That's on the buying side, and selling on 17
kwacha 18 ngwe.
So this is actually very good for us, ensuring that we're going in the right
direction, and we hope by very soon, you know, few months to come, we'll have we'll go to a single digit.
By 14 hours.
We'll go to a single digit.
The textbook joke that has been training anyway, but it definitely shows that we're heading in the right direction. And so just now I'm going to take a look at one of yesterday's stories that is on the community desk. And yesterday, Miriam, I actually visited Chivolia Market, that is in Kanyama constituency, and the market is really a story site. Like you can wonder, people, like the race season is over, but the market is continuously wet. People spew water anyhow, there are diapers everywhere, like it's so filthy, really.
And you know, when it comes to sanitation, you know, hygiene and stuff like that, you'll find that it's us, the community, who don't take care of our environment, and then later on we'll come to Boma Yanganepo trend of sorts.
That's what I was saying.
But it's the environment that you are living in. You should make sure that you keep your environment clean. But anyway, we are used to the trend of Boma Yanganepo, and I hope the mentality stop as we head forward. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. So let's just take a look at that story on market filth at Chivolia Market. Markets play a key role in Zambia's economy as they provide trading places for the population of market traders, which currently stands about 3.8 million according to statistics from the Zambia National Marketers Credit Association, Zanamaka. The state of most markets is, however, a different story to tell, as most of them are filled with filth, despite selling assorted food items. A check by Camnet News at Chivolia Market in Lusaka found that this is the case, as the market is filled with all sorts of waste from baby diapers to discarded food items. The market traders spoken to have, however, placed the blame on the local authorities, whom they say have neglected the place despite them paying levies.
Pari doti yapano ezati paya muno yapa abantu bambiro reti doti yero ndrama pano pa market maripira mateni kwacha bati manje kuti ba council afakire nzero bachose ija doti sibachita bwanji sibachosa apo bainekera kufakira nzero ba council market yenekera iboneke clean na ndrama zamene balipira abantu. Bantu nibambira me bapezeka pano pa market bati na kulipira bamene balipira bati kupezeka chame chichitika kulipe. Solo manja paso mutenge mafotozi example muzionere mweka mukabaonese kapena tina
kolera HIV vose vile mu market pembe kota ndizo kuboma etiyanganeko.
The Lusaka City Council is, however, on record indicating that collection of waste in markets is done on a daily basis, attributing the situation to the overgeneration of waste. With the potential health hazards that this situation brings, Zanamaka President Mr. Mupila Kameya says instituting market boards will help in curbing indiscriminate waste disposal in markets.
So that everyone is involved in the fight of ensuring that our markets are clean. So what it is like it's a game for one individual, which is the councils who are running these markets. But our emphasis still remains that we need to work together. Yes, garbage is generated by the marketeers, generated by, you know, the consumers and all those that come in the markets. Even when we educate these marketeers, but I think we need leadership coming from our end as marketeers to work together with the councils.
According to the Solid Waste Regulation and Management Act of 2018, disposing of waste indiscriminately carries a fine of up to 750 kwacha. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News,
Lusaka.
I hope you did get one or two things with regard to that story that was done by one of our reporters, Zipporah Mchala, in Chivolia compound. A very, very sorry sight to see. Zipporah.
You don't even want to go to the market. Like, you feel, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be happy you're going to a market, but you find that the ground is wet, there are pools of water everywhere, there's all sorts of dirt, and then now they're saying Boomerang.
Exactly, that's my concern. You know, you do a story and then they're telling you Boomerang, but the people who are found at that location, at that particular area, why are they not interested to ensure that they keep the environment clean where they're trading from? You know, this mentality that Boomerang and people should stop. Their gene starts with us.
Yes, and last time when I talked to the council, actually, that was then town clerk, Mr. Alex Massa, he actually said that councils, he said it is not true for people to accuse councils of not collecting. So he said every single day, sometimes even 3 times a day, council collect, but it's an issue of a generation of waste.
Yeah.
And in that case, for example, the traders there are the ones who are responsible, because that is not at a garbage heap, it's just around the market, So really it's about being responsible. And if you heard from the Zanamaka president, he suggested introducing market boards to make sure that the council is not left to operate alone, but these market boards actually monitor the situation in markets and all that.
I think that's a very good move. I think maybe it will help address this situation, and we won't have people appear on TV and constantly complaining. And you know, the sad part, Zipporah, it's where, you know, you are in the rain season and then you have such kind of a situation. Look at the hygiene aspect of a human being. These are areas where they are prone to cholera. So you get cholera, shanshani. You know, you get to hear such kind of stories, but hey, we don't want to hear that. And this mentality, like I keep on saying, this mentality of saying, no, Boomerang and Epo should come to an end. There are things which we can do ourselves as human beings, Zipporah. This is our community. We need to ensure that the environment is kept clean. No one will come and clean your house, Zipporah, if you left the dirt. No, it's you to clean it. Exactly.
And so we also had another story on defamation. Maybe you can just highlight another. Okay,
yeah. So, you know, back then when the current administration was then in opposition, you know, they spoke about looking at the defamation offense. There were suggestions that it should be amended or do away with it, you know, because different people would take advantage, you know, in terms of prosecuting people on such kind of offenses. But hey, again, they're saying in as much as we do away with this offense or amend it, it's not a passport for someone, Zipporah, to keep on now, you know, find a way of uttering hate speech against the president. It's something that we should control, because hey, that's an offense.
It just brings disrepute to the office of the president.
To the office of the president, yeah. So let's see, we'll play that video and then we see some comments that were made by various stakeholders, especially from the political background.
Minister of Justice Malambo Haimbe, Sunday 5th June 2022, said government is committed to amending or doing away with laws like the defamation of the president law, and has urged people not to abuse the freedom of expression. The law has created debates both in the previous and current regime. According to the then President of America, Theodore Roosevelt, who faced a lot of criticism during his presidency, in 1918, May 7th, said, "The president is merely the most important among a large number of public servants. He should be supported or opposed exactly to the degree which is guaranteed by his good conduct or bad conduct, his efficiency or inefficiency in rendering loyal, able, and disinterested service to the nation as a whole. Therefore, it is absolutely necessary that there should be full liberty to tell the truth about his acts, and this means that it is exactly necessary to blame him when he does wrong, as it is to praise him when he does right." Speaking to Camnet News, University of Zambia political analyst Alex Ngoma has welcomed the idea of completely removing the defamation of the president law.
I want to scrap, because like I said, if a person chooses to insult the president, there are laws that can be applied to deal with such a person. and therefore let's scrap the other one and just have a general law that will say that anyone insulting a fellow citizen is actually prosecuted.
Mr. Ngoma says the president is put in office by the people, therefore it is the people's right to provide checks and balances to the president.
That the president must be supported at all costs. That is unreasonable and unpatriotic. You can't support a person who is wrong. You're supposed to indicate that this is not the correct way to do things, and therefore people must be given space to do exactly that. What is important is that those that choose to comment on the performance of the president should actually be reasonable and also patriotic to show exactly what's happening. If something well has been done, they should indicate so. Likewise, if something is not correctly done, they should also be able to say that.
Okay, but also some aspect or sector of society have argued that if such laws are scrapped off, you find that people begin to abuse the freedom of expression by insulting the president. Maybe what would be your comment with regards to that?
I think that those who fear that scrapping of the Presidential Act is going to will make the president vulnerable, I think should be reminded of the fact that there are actually other laws that you can use to deal with a person who wantonly chooses to insult the president.
Recently, a 48-year-old man of Lusaka, Ansen Zulu, was sentenced to 1 year imprisonment for defaming the president, Hakainde Hichilema. Zambia is a democratic country where the freedom of expression is adhered to, but people must express themselves responsibly. Cherish Sibote for Camnet News, Lusaka.
I hope you did get one or two things with regard to that story done by one of our reporter, Cherish, talking about the law of defamation of the president. There are suggestions that it should be done away with, or rather be amended. Zipporah, your views on that?
Okay, you know, the issue is, okay, of course, Zambia...
Should it be done away with it completely, or should should be amended?
Amended. Yeah. Okay, Zambia is a democracy, just like America, but you find that maybe Americans really go overboard. But then as Zambians or as Africans, should remember that we always have those traditional cultures to respect. You can't just, because the president is the fatherly figure, you can't just go and start disrespecting the president. So it should be amended, maybe whereby we have different stakeholders actually coming together to decide how far is too far. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And so we're going to just move into our next segment. We are going to be joined by the Cybersecurity Initiative Foundation President, Mr. John Senki. So we'll just take a short break to join us shortly after this break.
They were not there when God created you.
So welcome back. We have been joined by Mr. John Chinsenki, who is the Cybersecurity Initiative Foundation president. So we're going to talk about cyber safety in Zambia. So this borders on many issues. First of all, mobile money abductions, mobile money scams, as well as reforming of the cybersecurity bill. And just now we open our phone lines so that you can call and give your views on the matter. So in April last year, April of 2021, we saw the cybersecurity and the Cyber Control Bill of 2021 being enacted in April, but just last week we heard Minister of Technology and Science, Mr. Felix Mutati, stating that this needs to be reformed. So many people actually stated that this was actually politicized in its inception, so because this was actually enacted towards election. So those are the issues we're going to be tackling. So do join us and give us your call. Good morning, Mr. Chinsenki.
Good morning, and it's always a pleasure to be here and talk to the masses in Zambia and beyond.
Yes. It's great to have you on our show.
To our studio.
Thank
Hope
you
the weather
much.
is not too cold.
No, it's not. It's okay today. Today is better than the past days.
Yes, definitely.
Sure.
And so just before we get a head start into our interview, we're just going to play a story of a mobile money agent who was recently abducted and just give a basis for our discussion. So let's just take a look at that story.
It has been over a month now, yet the whereabouts of a mobile money agent, Pamela Chisumpa, remains unknown following her abduction by unknown people. And another mobile money agent of Lusaka, Paxina Chanda, has been missing for over 2 weeks. The matter was first reported at Matelo Police Station on the 16th, while at Central Police, the report was filed on the 19th of May, 2022. Information obtained by Camnet TV News suggests that Paxina Chanda, who has been living in Lusaka's Matelo constituency in Nilanda compound with her cousin, was last seen on the 14th of May 2022 after telling her colleagues that she had gone for dinner on the eve of her birthday, and she communicated the same information to her cousin.
Then sister wandi twalekana naye na bwino fye alebomba mukabothi muli banko solambira kubomba alebomba pali last week pa 14 pa Saturday nali panse ofona ufile fe phone yalila ka message so fona limbini bayateo ofona afumine panse munganda naingira munganda na checking afona sanga ni message akwa Paxina ndemela fe say I've gone out with James in case he can steal me. So ofona mwenelea message na umfa mutima waima James nshamuishiva ofona ile fena shitaka talk time na mtumi na phone ulikuisa ata imwe bagire ndiko America na Alaisa walaisa nshtanshi ati na Alaisa ofona katingina na phone semkutuma kuma 18 na sanga phone ili off so liaba off phone na ikala na tadi mbifia fika 2030 nishafika pano panganda limbia lafika mkuikala futi 20 ndesha phone yako ili off yonsama namba ya agent yonse na yashim.
The family is concerned about what might have happened to their relative.
Kama phone still off pasanda up to ikala paka fye boila bwacha pamande phone kuma 7 phone tumile bakazeni bande nata tien tulembeshe fe ku police ofo bashiri bakazeni bande foto ele na ku police pa Matero police twalembesha pamande twafuma pale afo twele na mtown mkabutu wapishonya kwa bana ko yatawa alila afyata kusoweto ofo wala ile so na toke okay foto waikele kuna nalikala kwa tukuma kufuma 13 hours ofo na ikele paka na abwera kunganda futi pamande apo mkuikala futi stiwa mafoni awa tale tumako na ashima tuwaisho kutumana na ashima paka fena palilero Paxina.
And this is where Paxina Chanda used to operate from, right at the entrance of Lumumba bus station. Paxina used to work for her uncle, who informed this journalist that she told him that she had gone to a Mr. Steve, who is not their relative, and that she later communicated that she had a shortage of 1,300 kwacha and she wanted to raise the money to repay him. Meanwhile, her operating capital was 6,000 kwacha. But her uncle, only identified as Collins, is equally distressed with unfolding events, saying it is no longer about the money, but her whereabouts.
So immediately the aunt called me again to say, Collins, what is happening there? I don't know about that issue. That's why I tried to call my numbers on some agency. All the numbers were off. On Tuesday, she called using a voice note saying, Margaret, I'm not, the reason why I'm not picking up your calls or you find my phone is off is, Njetina my uncle Punka, Pianari, Shota Kubuti, 900 plus 300, that's 1,200. Then she continued to say, right now, in the was Steve.
The family has pleaded with the Zambia police to speed up investigations, saying for now they have been left to speculate on what could have happened to their relative, with questions like, was the motive to get away with the cash? Was she abducted like Pamela? Did she elope? Whatever the case, police have another puzzle to solve. However, to get to the bottom of this matter, an inquiry was made to the Zambia Police Public Relations Unit, but by broadcast time, we were yet to get a response. Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
So there you have it. That was a story of an allegedly abducted mobile money agent. And so just to start our interview, maybe really what could be some of the major causes in Zambia? What are we missing? What is causing these mobile money frauds that we're experiencing?
Okay, this I think has been stated by the growth of the mobile money industry. Before time, the mobile money industry was a very small and tiny industry. I remember the first time I had something called Makwacha by Zen, that time before Zen converted to Airtel. And it was just a big, it's just like, I think it was a small innovation at its infancy stages. We did not see it becoming this big. Now, today, it's becoming a very big concern. I think I can go to a market and buy cassava and pay using mobile money. That's how big it has become. So it is actually a very convenient way of banking the unbanked. Because the people are now trying to avoid banks because of the too many requirements. You have to bring a big file of requirement documents for you to open an account, while mobile might just be in the comfort of your seat, buy some card and press buttons, and there you have it, and everything is happening. So it's now becoming a convenient way of storing and keeping money and transacting as well. So because of its growth, which again I think has been also boosted by the coming of the COVID-19, people now have become so conversant with mobile money, because that time, so during lockdown, we were doing transactions from our phones using mobile money. So now that being the case itself, it has attracted the attention of the fraudsters, and that is now where it is becoming like this. And besides that, what is also giving the rise to mobile money fraud is the hardships, the current, I think the economy, things are not okay, and criminals, bad players, they are out there trying to find ways of surviving in a wrong fashion, and now that's why they are targeting mobile money, mobile money, operators. That is why I think the rise is that big. And besides, mobile money actually is a big thing. Not even banks, they have mobile money today, because Zapit is mobile money. There is what is called e-wallet. I think most banks today, they have e-wallet today. And that is also part of this. But at least for the banks, it's quite a self-system, because it rides on the system of the bank, the back end of the system of the bank. For the mobile money, it's quite also another different platform. But the problem that we have is that the operators of mobile money, the service providers, they have no solution for this problem. They have failed to find solution to this problem, and they just, giving you tips, I think it's not very common. I rarely see tips from Airtel Money, MTN Money, and Zamtel to keep their subscribers and customers alert in terms of how they should, how they should, treat mobile money transactions. I have not seen that, and that is a big concern. If awareness is not coming forth, the people that are using the products and services will not know that this is not supposed to be done like this. They will never get to know. That's a problem again.
Okay, and just to our viewers out there, please remember that the phone lines are now officially open, and you can call in and give us your views on the cyber safety situation here in Zambia. And so maybe moving on, given that you've highlighted that the mobile money business is fast growing due to a number of factors,
sure.
Do you feel this is being well regulated, or is it being taken casually like it has been in the past?
It's 50-50. It's being taken casually and also being well regulated, but I think regulation part of it is not robust. The regulators are also not doing a very good job. Yes, if they are there, yes, they are there because this is under Bank of Zambia. Yes, and also the cybersecurity side of things is under ZICTA. So the two are not working hand in hand to try and find solution, because they are not really concerned about the rights of the consumers. CCPC, the ones in charge of consumer rights protection, they simply have a message to tell the people on the rights of the consumers. But the biggest part of this is a protection of the systems that they offload to us to use, which have not, I think the regulation has not really been that much. And the issue of fighting, sitting down and finding a solution to really helping the subscribers, the customers, the consumers, stay safe on the internet, the usage of the mobile money, platforms, it is not being done effectively. We have come in ourselves and many other stakeholders want to try and help, alleviate, to try and avert the problem of mobile money fraud. But again, we cannot be on our own. We need the support of the stakeholders. The government must be involved, and it involves every institution and person out there, because it borders on the economy of this country. The moment we all stop using money and start keeping money in our houses, the circulation will not have the systems around, so they have no transactions recorded and everything. Then it will be difficult for the people that take projections of financial growth to pick that. That's a problem. So the regulators, they're not doing a good job. I'll speak like that, because if they're doing a good job, by now we shouldn't be having someone has lost 100 kwacha from their mobile money, someone has sent a message to me telling me to reverse the money, someone has told me to say send money to this number. That should not be happening. But because they have not done a good job, that's why the bad actors, they're still having a free time.
And actually, speaking of reversing money, that is actually still a big problem. That, for example, some mobile networks actually require the person whom you send the money to actually accept for the money
exactly
to be reversed.
And that's a problem. But again, at the same time, it has two faces. It's also a security measure. For instance, you don't, because sometimes you are in panic mode, you are busy, you are doing something else, then a pop-up comes up on your phone to say say, okay, fine, you send money. I think, and then as you send money, you want to get your money back. So you might as well withdraw money which is not yours from someone's account. That's a security measure. But again, at the same time, this reversal of money is a very cumbersome process, because if you send me money, I'm broke and I don't know you, I'll turn off my phone and you'll never get your money back. Okay, we have sent money before to people and you realize, I think I sent the wrong number. You try and call that number doesn't exist. There are those numbers where you send money to, the money has gone. The number has been off for years, for months, or maybe for 3-4 days. And you try and call the number has been off and you've lost out. And that's a problem.
Is mobile money a threat to the banks?
It is a big threat, yes, to the banks, to be frank. Because all the customers that are using mobile money today are supposed to have been going to the banks. Now, because of the mobile money itself being a growing business, most people don't want to go to the banks, because the banks up to now still have those long process and requirements of opening an account. Bring your NRC, proof of residence, the certificate, and all those other things. Where sometimes you might not have everything, but the mobile money doesn't require you to have that. Only your NRC for registration is important, is key. Once you have your SIM card registered, everything is fine.
So how best do you feel it can be regulated, since it's a big industry now?
It's a big industry now. I will say this: the Bank of Zambia should form some kind of a team with ZICTA and also stakeholders like ourselves and others in this space to try and find, okay, fine, Bank of Zambia is regulating the financial aspect of the mobile money. The security also is very important. Once they form a team, that should now look at the best interest and the best ways of managing the mobile money industry. The way they have managed the banks, because banks are much more safe. Okay, banks are much more safe. The banks have been managed. Let's also move the same mechanism used to manage the banks to managing mobile money, because mobile money is still also a bank.
Will that make it cumbersome? I mean, that people go to mobile money because it's easy to use. Won't that make the process more cumbersome?
No. It will, for as long as mobile money processes still remain the way they are, they will have more flocking clients than the banks. Because I will tell you that today, Airtel has a MasterCard, a Visa card, the same card you use for buying things online. Airtel, they have that. And there's even another called Zazu. So you might as well just not have a bank account and just go and use your, there's the same Airtel MasterCard or Zazu MasterCard for purchases online and other things. And you can keep your money in mobile money. But again, the problem is you keep money in mobile money, you get a phone call from an unknown person asking you to reverse money. There's a way that they are monitoring the accounts and the money that is being stored in people's phone accounts, which is, I think, a danger. And there are also some bad guys who work for the operators, who connive with some criminals to say, okay, I think there's a time that I had an experience. Okay, someone came to complain to our office to say they lost money. What happened was they just lost service on their their number, and within 5 minutes, the moment the service was restored, they just got surprised. The money they had in their account was gone. And there's another experience. The owner of Chipata TV in Eastern Province also lost money in similar nature. He lost service on his phone for 10 minutes. The time he came back, over 20,000 kwacha was withdrawn and they'd gone.
Don't you think this is the more reason why people should do away with mobile money banking and just go back to the normal banks to avoid such situations? I
think it's not a way of avoiding mobile money banking. It's about the mobile money service providers securing their system enough for us to have confidence in using mobile money services. Because we don't want to go to the banks. I also don't want to go and start queuing up at the bank. Okay, I would rather there are booths littered everywhere today. I can go to a booth and in a minute I'm done and I'm gone. Rather than me going to queue up in the morning, I'll be in the queue. There are 20 others ahead of me. I'll be in the queue. Maybe you find the banker, teller with an attitude and
what do they have an attitude? Actually, they do have an
attitude, and then you get to be frustrated. Your day is going daily in the morning. I don't want to go to the bank. I'll be frank with you. I don't like banks myself because there's so many cumbersome bureaucratic processes that are involved in getting in a bank, open an account. But again, some of these things are requirements. Because if I own a business, for me to apply for any funding, to do anything, I need to have a bank account. That's where I think it still takes me back to the bank. Otherwise, if not for that, if all these like mobile money service providers make the system stronger, and if banks now start considering mobile money as a as a requirement, like funders start wiring money in a mobile money accounts, trust me, we are leaving banks and going to mobile money as companies.
Definitely. And maybe let's just talk about the internet. Recently, or maybe in the past weeks, we've seen the internet being used maybe for various issues. We had all these social media influencers posting all kinds of videos which were actually regarded as indecent. How do you feel the social media is being used in Zambia right now?
Okay, I think that I use the word called influencers. What are they influencing? That's a question.
Trends,
because, for instance, what gave names and followers to some of the people that are abusing and stripping themselves naked everywhere? It's because they stripped naked in the first instance. And then now Zambians love to see, seeing nudes all the time. No, have a video, send your number, and you see within a minute there are 300-400 comments sending numbers requesting for the video and the like, which is a big problem. So the internet, the way it is being used, not only in Zambia, I think many other countries, but I think particularly in Zambia, is not, I think, what we've known the internet to be, because it was not built for people to be sending their nudes and corrupting the moral standing of the kids that are growing up. Because now I'm scared for my 11-year-old daughter to go on Facebook because today she's going to see a naked person and she will think it's okay to see naked people.
Have we done enough, maybe as a country, to protect our children online from such things? Or does it mean even a 5-year-old can actually see the things that a 30-year-old is seeing?
Yeah, a 5-year-old can still see things that a grown-up man like me is able to see if I give her my phone. And we have not done enough, because nowadays we are spoiling our kids by giving them our gadgets to access Facebook and WhatsApp and other social media platforms, and that is actually affecting them, because now that's why you are finding kids now getting to know things like, for instance, I heard a very small girl talking about Mtari Mwanza. So where did you hear about Mtari Mwanza from a kid? Where did you see her from? I saw her, she's beautiful. And they're like, oh, fine. So if a small girl can know Mtari Mwanza, meaning she saw Mtari Mwanza on Facebook, how did she feel? How did she see that when she got maybe a phone of the mother or the father or the sister who is aged to get on Facebook? Or maybe the mother bought her a smartphone, and then she had to go and fake her age, because on Facebook you can't be 17 and have an account. You have to be 18 and above. So you find a 10-year-old kid as a Facebook account with Ronaldo or Messi or any other celebrity's profile picture, and they are able to see things that we're able to see. So we have not really been able to manage what kids should not see, because I think Facebook also has not helped us in having a Facebook just for kids, which doesn't actually show a lot of nudes. If that is able to be done, I would advise Facebook to say, I think you should have at least Facebook for kids, which filters content that should not be seen by kids. If there's a nude picture and the like trending somewhere, it should not appear on a kid's Facebook, Facebook profile. That way I think we'll be able to manage what kids shouldn't see.
During last year in April, the previous administration did pass the cybersecurity law, which is meant to promote responsible use of social media platforms, as well as ensuring the provision of cybersecurity in the country. With the current status on how we are using our social media, are we correctly doing things, or we have gone astray? Is this law, in short, being implemented?
Okay, to start with, I've always been against the process which was taken to implement that law itself, to enact it. Yes, it was hurriedly done, and it was done in a year of an election. So definitely it was politically motivated. So it being motivated by politics and being pushed to try and whip a certain group of people, it was done in a very wrong fashion. That's why consultation was not done at a very high level. You see, even institutions that are supposed to give in their input were given about 2-3 days. What do you do in 2-3 days? That should be in a law. So it was already done. Then just, okay, can you, within 2 days, can you bring yours? Because they know that if they give you 2 days, you will not have enough information to input in the law before it's enacted. So it was not, it didn't have the blessings of the stakeholders. It didn't have our blessings. It didn't have the blessings of the general public. It was basically designed to say, let's fast, quickly enact this, so that those who are going to say, this one is a bad guy, grab them, take them to police cells and use the same law.
That happened, but has the same happened really in terms of the people who have been stripping naked?
That has not been happening because, again, at the same time, if someone strips naked, for instance, what we saw 2-3 weeks ago on Facebook, where a named socialite who had all her private chest cavity arrangements showing public on Facebook, who is the complainant? It should be the state. So the state has not reason to arrest, because what I was supposed to hear is like, arrest this Iris Kaingu and take her to police. Then later explain why she had to go and display herself on public social media like that in a very indecent fashion, which is very much corrupting to the to the morals of this country, which is a bad thing. That is what we expected to hear. Now we have a lot of, because now the team that should be out there trying to mop out all these bad guys stripping themselves naked is doing nothing. That's why it's this day we have this girl called Desanja Anita from Kawe. The other time we have this one. There was a Nyambe girl, Mundia girl recently who was naked, and there are a lot of others that are stripping themselves naked every day. We have a new thing every day. Why? Because the institutions that should have formed a task force that should be looking at all these guys misusing internet, it's not there. It's not working. It's not functional. The cybersecurity task force that was put in place to help enforce this same law is not functioning. If I abuse you today on the internet, I insult you, I body shame you, I bully you, you have nowhere to go. You go to the police, they will take the case, end somewhere. Then yourself, you will still be there with everything. I've received a number of people reporting, no, this one bullied me, they are posting me everywhere. You go to police, nothing is going to happen. You go to SICTA, nothing is going to happen. So we are vulnerable. As Zambians, we are vulnerable. We don't know where to go if something that is supposed to be used, supposed to be dealt with using the law itself, happens to us. And that's why this law itself, I think, should be revisited. Should be revisited, involving every stakeholder, and they should form a serious task force first to do awareness, sensitization, go to all corners of Zambia, translate this law in local languages for easy understanding of every Zambian out there who doesn't read English. You cannot tell me someone in Kasama who's been there for all their lives, who doesn't know English in the village, can be able to know that if you do this, this is wrong. They can't. So if we translate this law in local languages and make every Zambian understand the contents of the law, form a team, do awareness programs on TV, radio, billboards, everywhere, and then you have a proper task force that is effective, such that you, Zipporah, if you go and report a case, at least you know that I have hoped someone who is the culprit or the victim, the culprit will be arrested. At least you'll be, then we're going to say we're getting somewhere. Otherwise, enacting laws that are toothless like this law is what we don't want to see again in this law. If this one has to be pushed again, it should not be a toothless law. It should have proper systems and proper ways of managing it and effective style of prosecuting all the offenders.
What would be your comment in terms of, as a country, enacting laws just for political purpose?
Yes, this law was enacted for political agenda, yes, and it is very wrong, which is very wrong. And my appeal and advice to the current government, you know, governments have terms. One term, in another one will come in, another one will come in. And one thing we should not forget is that if I'm an MP myself, member of parliament, and I'm sitting there trying to even do to certain bills as we are enacting them,
Yes.
I should know that tomorrow I won't be in parliament forever. And tomorrow I'll be a victim or a culprit. The same law that I was doing will be used to whip me, or someone will be using the same law. So we should also be very much aware that even our own relatives, our children, our spouses can be offenders at some point and will be used, the same law will be used because the law doesn't care who you are. It's a law. Doesn't care, no boundaries. Whether you're security at the gate, to find you and you'll be picked and be prosecuted against you, you know what you have done. It's a law. So we should also I think let's try and mop out the political aspect of enactment of laws, and then we are going to have people-driven laws in Zambia. Otherwise, I think this law itself and the others that were enacted alongside it were all politically motivated and designed to whip out certain group of people that were talking bad against the past regime. And this regime should not also push another agenda of similar nature as they want to repeal this act, and also push another agenda that should now whip the past regime, those now in opposition. Should they say this against me, let's use this law on them. It should be something that is neutral, not targeted at a certain group of people, but should be something that covers every Zambian, benefits every Zambian, and everyone should be happy about it. Involve stakeholders.
Okay, even as we conclude, what are some of the things you'd like to see in the new law as it is reformed?
They should revisit the issue of cyberbullying. It should be much more detailed. It should be much more detailed, and they should also revisit the roles of the task force and make it more effective, and consult on who should be on that task force, and not handpicking from where they should get the members from. That's one. And I think because it's a big document, but there is only paragraph 66 and 69 which talk about harassment and abuse of computer for purposes of abusing others. So those are the most important tools. So visit, ask the people, what do you want us to draft this? How should it be crafted so that it should make you comfortable? People should say, then also bring their own knowledge, try and break even and do that. But also they should seriously, the most important, let them put a very proper system in place to fight these, to fight criminals and offenders of these laws. And also, they should also state in the same act itself, in terms of awareness, if you're not aware about the law, we shouldn't be used against you. You didn't know about it. But again, ignorance is not an excuse at the same time. But again, if you don't tell the people this is what it is, because if I tell you, I think out of the millions of Zambians there are very few that even have read the same act, because it's not important, because they don't even know, even up to now. Some people are even surprised there exists in this act, because maybe it's the first time they're hearing about it. Why? Because they were never told there's even this kind of an act. That's why the Facebook, Twitter, and social media platforms still has a fair share of bad actors, guys that don't know that even the law exists.
All right, thank you very much. That was Mr. John Chinseki, who was actually helping us discuss cybersecurity in Zambia. We've had a very, very interesting segment. So he's the president of the Cybersecurity Initiative Foundation. Up next, we're going to be joined by the Basic Education Teachers Union spokesperson, Mr. Kavika Kakunta, who's going to help us zoom into the teacher recruitment exercise. So just take a short break and join us on the other side.
I'm Deborah Lukalu, all the way from South Africa. You are watching Camnet channel, not just another channel. God bless you. Stay tuned.
So welcome back. We are now on the other segment. We are talking about teacher recruitment exercise in Zambia, and we've been joined by Mr. Kabika Kakunta, who's the spokesperson of the Basic Education Teachers Union of Zambia. Good morning, Mr. Kakunta.
Good morning, Zipporah.
Yes, welcome to Camnet TV.
Thank you, thank you.
It's nice to have you on the program.
It's always a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much.
Just to get a start on our story, we're going to, on our interview, we're going to play a story that we actually compiled in April on the teacher recruitment exercise. So do stay tuned in, and remember that our phone lines are open, so you can call in and give your views on the matter. Let's take a look at the story on teacher recruitment.
The teaching service has over the years been flooded, as it was one of the professions where one was guaranteed easy entry into the civil service upon graduation. This has, however, led to a backlog of unemployed teachers due to this, a number exceeding 50,000, according to the Ministry of Education. The same has resulted in a number of cases where teachers are said to have been duped in desperation to get into the civil service. In 2021, a group of 3,000 teachers with appointment letters received the shock of their lives when they were informed by the Ministry of Education that their appointment letters were fake. A recent incident was also witnessed in March of 2022, where a group of about 200 teachers visited the Anti-Corruption Commission (ACC), stating that they had not been placed on payroll despite being legally employed. With the 30,000 recruitment of teachers expected before the end of Term 2 of 2022, Secondary School Teachers Union says 2 Secretary General Mr. Sitivekiso Wamuyua says the process should be as transparent as possible. Ministry of Education Permanent Secretary in charge of Technical Services, Mr. Joe Kamoko, made the said revelation on Monday.
So what is really important for us is this assurance of the system being transparent. And we are happy that it will be done locally, the locals will be involved, and through the decentralized system of the human resource committees that have been already established in every district. So the establishment of the human resource management committees gives an assurance to us that I think the process will be managed locally and they will be able to recruit according to the needs in that area. Because these are the committees that the area, the schools that are in need and which subjects are critical in terms of staffing levels. So we believe that if we follow this system we have put in place to the letter, we may receive very little or no complaints at all.
Mr. Wamuyua says there is also need for teachers who will be employed to avoid requesting for unnecessary transfers so as not to create a teaching gap in some schools.
Every area requires their services. It doesn't really pay to get appointed or to be selected to go and serve in a particular area and within a month or a year one wants to get it transferred and then leave the area unattended to, and yet the people in that particular area, just like any other Zambian, do deserve and need the services which we are offering. That is our appeal. Yes, let the system continue to be transparent, corruption-free, and let those people that to be selected be able to deliver the services in the areas where they are taken, because every Zambian, I think, need their services.
It is hoped that the said recruitment to solve the problem of high teacher-pupil ratio brought about by the free education policy. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
So welcome back. So that was the School Secretary General, Mr. Sitivekiso. You are just calling for transparency in the teacher recruitment. And so, Mr. Kakunta, how can you describe the current teacher recruitment exercise as Betus? Has it been up to expectations in terms of speed and transparency?
Yeah. Firstly, I think for us as Basic Education Teachers Union of Zambia, we want to indicate that the 2022 teacher recruitment has been quite inclusive. And I know that some of the key attributes to a transparent process is when you use the key stakeholders in the process of doing an activity. And in this case, we are talking about the teacher recruitment for 2022. I know that it's important that I give a background. When the pronouncement of recruitment of the 30,000 teachers was made by the head of state, the first thing that the ministry in charge of education did was to call the stakeholders at national level. And I think for us as basic education teachers of Zambia, being the key stakeholders in the education sector, we were invited and a committee was set up at national level, which was looking at developing the guidelines of teacher recruitment. Other stakeholders from the different sectors of our country were invited at national level to discuss how we needed to develop a system that we are going to use in employing the 30,000 teachers. And I think it must be made very clear that the institution that is charged with the responsibility of recruiting teachers is the Teaching Service Commission. They do that on behalf of the head of state, meaning that the Teaching Service Commission is given mandate to deal with the teacher recruitment. And the Teaching Service Commission, as provided in the Commissions Act of 2016, is given guidelines and given the power to deal with teacher recruitment. And I know that from that perspective, the Teaching Service Commission established what they are calling the Human Resource Management Committees, pursuant to the Commissions Act of 2016. And at national level, as I indicated, we developed guidelines which were to guide the process of teacher recruitment. And from our side, with that process that was undertaken, we are very confident that the process was very transparent, because what was happening at national level, where different stakeholders were put in a national committee that was playing an oversight in the teacher recruitment. We saw that at the lowest level, the Teaching Service Commission delegated its functions to the district level, where the Human Resource Management Committees were established. And these Human Resource Management Committees are composed of the different stakeholders who are found at that respective district. And for us as teacher unions, we are part of that district Human Resource Management Committees. The unions, I know that you are aware that in the education sector, we have 7 teacher unions. And the unions are given the responsibility to sit together and elect or select one representative who will represent all the 7 teacher unions on that Human Resource Management Committee. Then a responsible officer from the district education board sector level is appointed to chair that committee. Within the district, they also appoint a human resource practitioner who is not a teacher but assigned by the district human resource committee, who may be appointed maybe by the local authority or by the DC's office or by the whatever structure that exists at district level. And all these different interest groups are represented on that Human Resource Management Committee, which I think spills over even at provincial Human Resource Management Committee, which is also composed of different stakeholders from all the walks of life within the given district. And to us, with that structure that was established by the Teaching Service Commission, we think that the employment of the 30,000 teachers in 2022 is one of its kind that we can confidently indicate that it followed the most transparent approach if we can compare with the other years that the teacher recruitment has been done in the Republic of Zambia.
Talking about transparency, we did see last week Southern Province Minister Cornelius Mwit was directing the Provincial Education Officer to revise the report sent to the Teaching Service Commission on teachers recruitment. On ground that the recruitment process as directed by Cabinet Circular number 10 of 2022 on recruitment of over 30,000 teachers was not followed properly because a lot of stakeholders such as the Drug Enforcement Commission, the Anti-Corruption Commissions were not involved so that there can be transparency in the process.
Yeah, there are two things. I think when I get the statement from the Minister of Southern Province, I think basically the activities that are done in the province are done by the different structures of the province, but on behalf of the minister in the province. And from the background I gave, I think for us as a labor movement, it is a strange revelation that we get in Southern Province. But ultimately, I think I need to make our position as Betus very clear that the people who are charged with the responsibility to recruit teachers on behalf of the head of state is the Teaching Service Commission. And the Teaching Service Commission delegates its functions to the structure as provided for in the Commissions Act of 2016. And in this case, we know that the Teaching Service Commission established the Human Resource Management Committees, which are existing in all the districts of this country. And those Human Resource Management Committees, our assumption is that they are doing these functions on behalf of the Teaching Service Commission. But of course, government has structures, how government operates. In a province, for example, there is a provincial minister, and there are also district commissioners. The provincial minister is the head of the province. And we have district commissioners who are in charge of each respective district. And in each district, we have a wing of government that looks at the education system in the district, which is the District Education Board Secretary's office, who undertake their functions and they report to the district commissioner. And for us, understanding the structures that government operates in and knowing the reporting structures of government, to us as a labor movement, but the fact that there is a Human Resource Management Committee in each district which was established pursuant to the provisions of the Commissions Act number 16, we think that those gaps which have been raised by the minister in the Southern Province are very strange. Very strange in the sense that our close follow-up with the Teaching Service Commission clearly indicate that what was happening countrywide was actually the same approach to teacher recruitment in all the provinces. And if Southern Province experienced such a unique occurrence where the activities which were happening in every district regarding the teacher recruitment in Southern Province had no blessings of the different structures of government, it becomes a strange state of affair in Southern Province. But I must be quick to mention that government structures need to coordinate themselves in the manner that we undertake the activities of governance in our respective provinces and districts. I say so because if the Human Resource Management Committees are appointed as an oversight of activities of employment at the district level, and the DEBS is overseeing the activities at that level, and the different stakeholders in the district are taking charge of the teacher recruitment at that level, who also report to the respective structures of government at district level. And we are made to understand that the respective responsible structures of government, like the Teaching Service Commission, also played an oversight in looking at how the teacher recruitment was undertaken. we find the statement by the minister in Southern Province quite strange, which I think for us calls for closer investigation to find out really what happened in Southern Province. How unique were the activities of teacher recruitment in Southern Province, so that we get to understand what did the minister really mean when he said the teacher recruitment in the Southern Province did not follow the guidelines that were provided for in the teacher recruitment, and just unique in Southern Province. So for us, these are issues that for you as the media, you must begin to interrogate and get down to the level where the recruitment was done. But also, as a teacher, as a basic education teacher union of Zambia, we have presence at every district in Southern Province. We have our leadership at every district in Southern Province. We have given them an assignment to investigate and find out how activities were done for those who were involved on our leadership structures. We have assigned them to give us reports on how teacher recruitment was done at that level. But I think that for us as a labor movement, we are very excited in the work that the Teaching Service Commission is doing. They have shown responsibility, they have shown integrity in the manner that they have pushed this agenda of teacher recruitment in the year 2022, and that gives us confidence that the process is very transparent and that the Teaching Service Commission has done its best in making sure that the 30,000 teachers are recruited with the integrity that it deserves.
Okay, and we actually have the same clip that you're talking about, and the video is courtesy of Zanis. So let us take a look at that story from the Southern Province Minister.
You get in touch with the Teaching Service Commission and inform them that the list you have sent to them has got no blessings from ourselves as provincial administration, because we have not participated in its formulation. The DCs did not participate. The security agencies at some levels did not participate. So it is a product of your system and not our system. And I'm saying so because I do not want to be held accountable to explain at two levels. One, to the local people who may discover that the people who are on those lists are not local. And two, I don't want to explain to the president that was the whole idea of government. This is a cabinet decision to say involve DCs and security agencies. So I think that also applies to the health. The health, goodness, they haven't concluded. These offices will be rendered moribund if they are not utilized. If anything, if people complain that they've been left out, doctors, local nurses, local, whichever the category are left, the president will not call any one of you. He will call me. He will not even call the Minister of Health, because the Minister of Health has nothing to do with knowing who is local. It's me who will be called. And me, I have this team to work with. And so this team must do the right things.
Yes, so that was a clip by the Southern Province Minister Cornelius Mwito, who's just echoing his concerns over the teachers' recruitment, like we were earlier talking about. Maybe a comment on that clip. I know this is, he mentioned something that the locals were not part of the list, but we have seen, we can have someone from Lusaka and then they decide to apply elsewhere. Does it only mean that only the locals should be considered in that particular area?
There are two things. I think the first thing that we can comment as basic education teachers of Zambia is that the minister had his own perspective and his own expectations in the manner that the teacher recruitment is supposed to be done. But also, I think for me, getting feedback from the minister, it gives me an understanding that the government structures needs to talk to each other and be able to appreciate how the different processes are being undertaken. And with that said, I think in responding to your question, when the minister said the locals, does it mean that those who are residing anywhere else, if at all they want to apply to work in Kaputa, for example, and they are based in Southern Province and they are based in Lusaka, are they free to apply? I think first of all, it must be made very clear that the adverts did not restrict anyone to apply only to a specific area where they are. The adverts were open to anyone to apply. The only catchword is that when you apply to go and save in Solwezi, in my village for example, you must be ready to go and work there and cover the 4-year bonding period, and you must know that you will not be expected to begin to push for transfer within that shortest possible time. And if I'm based in Lusaka and I apply to go and teach in Southern Province, I am free to go and work in Southern Province, but also I must be recruited by the Human Resource Management Committee in the district in Southern Province that I have applied to, meaning that I am ready to go and save in that respective district. And therefore, it is important, I think, to put the cards very clear that anyone was free to apply anywhere where they wanted to go and teach. But also, the aspect of making people apply where they are comfortable or where they were comfortable, it's to allow people to go and save where they feel they can stay, because we have learned our lessons as a Ministry of Education and as an education system, that a number of people just go in certain areas for them to apply and get employed, and within a month or two, they begin to push for transfers to get to Lusaka. So in trying to resolve the challenge of teacher recruitment in certain areas, we put guidelines, because we are stakeholders as Basic Education Teachers Union of Zambia, and we are experts in the education sector. And we know some of the challenges that the education system is going through. And the decision to make people apply where their services are needed and to make them apply where they feel comfortable to go and work was with an understanding that when you come from Shangombo, for example, or you come from Lalafta or in Miluji, in Mufumbwe, for example, you must apply in Miluji or in Mufumbwe because you have an experience of life in that area. And the understanding is that when you apply there, you will be able to stay and teach there, so that we don't have a situation where you apply after you are employed in that area. You now begin crying and you say, I never expected to find an environment like this. The conditions are not conducive for me. You begin to push for transfers. And I think I want to assume that the minister is speaking about the locals in that context, and not in the context that the local people should be the only ones to be employed. The assumption and the understanding is that the people who should apply in those given areas are people who have clear understanding of the conditions which are found in that area where they have applied. And it's the people who, when they are recruited, they must be ready to stay in those areas and provide the service to the Zambian children in those schools in those areas. We want to run away from a situation where people are sitting on the payroll in Kasempa, but they are teaching in Lusaka because they found the environment in Kasempa not conducive for them. But ultimately, I think that the principle of recruiting teachers at the local level is that the teachers who will apply at the local level means at district level, the teachers are ready to save in that respective district. And we think that that is the approach that the Teaching Service Commission has taken.
Now, I would like to get your perspective. We saw the minister announcing for a process of restart in the teachers' recruitment rather than that coming from the Ministry of Education.
I think, first of all, for us, that's why I said that it is strange that it happened in that fashion in Southern Province. Because if the Minister of Southern Province saw the list which was supposed to be sent to the Teaching Service Commission, and he saw that because it didn't pass through his office, I think those are administrative procedures which we may not be privy for us as experts, as technocrats, as stakeholders in the education sector on the procedures of government in an event that there are certain processes that are being done. Our understanding is that when the process was started, the communication procedures were given very clear. The communication procedures were given by the Teaching Service Commission, and the instructions were very clear, I think, in terms of how they needed to manage that process. We may not completely close up with the assumptions and the remarks that the minister has given. But I think that for us, the technical feedback we can give to the ministry and to the Southern Province is that there are clear procedures that have been given in this teacher recruitment. And when we begin to talk about issues of back and forth, I think to us, we see that process as a process of confusion. And that will even delay the process of teacher recruitment, because already we have seen that the process has delayed. And for us, as experts in the education sector and as teachers' representatives, we think that we need to speed up this process. We have seen that the numbers of learners who have gone back to the school system after the introduction of free education, they are quite huge numbers. And our teacher members are actually managing huge classes. And we do not want that process to continue, because we know that it is compromising the quality of education that we are supposed to provide. And the government of the New Dawn has given a provision that we recruit the 30,000. We think that processes should not delay the final outcome of the teacher recruitment. We need to ensure that we protect the process. We need to ensure that we allow the respective government wings to do their part, but also not forgetting any issues that are raised by stakeholders. We must ensure that we take on board whatever issues that are raised, but we don't subscribe to the fact that we begin to do back and forth processes which are going even to delay further the process of teacher recruitment. Once we delay further the process of teacher recruitment, we are also delaying the normalization in terms of the provision of quality education in this country. We need the teachers in schools, but also we need teachers who are going to stay in those areas where they'll be deployed.
And also we saw that the teacher recruitment, the names were actually supposed to come out on 1st June, but then that did not happen. So how soon would you like to see the names come out?
I think from our closer work with the Teaching Service Commission, we have seen that they are working 24/7. They have put in their best. They are actually working late hours. We were getting in touch with the Teaching Service Commission to find out how the process is going, and we have seen that a lot of efforts are being put to make sure that the process is well done. What is happening now, as we are indicating, it's a process of making sure that there is transparency in the manner that we are doing the teacher recruitment this year. And because of that, we have seen that the Teaching Service Commission is very careful with every step that they are taking. They want to make sure that all key stakeholders are part of the process. And we know that at the moment, we have been engaged.
Let me just hold your thought there. We have a caller. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Good morning, sir. How are you? Good morning. You are through to Camnet TV. How are you?
Good morning, dear. Thank you.
Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
I'm fine. How are you?
We are fine. We can get you, sir. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
I just want to ask about balancing of.
Anyway, kindly call us back and just finish your question. So remember, you can call on the numbers that are scrolling on the screen and contribute to the conversation. And so, Mr. Kakunta, maybe you can just finish.
Yes. I was saying that the Teaching Service Commission is now in the process of checking through and receiving submissions from respective provinces. And that process they are undertaking, what we have seen is that there's a lot of work being done in order for the Commission not to make mistakes that can cost the process. And to us as stakeholders, we have seen that the process that they are undertaking is bringing in key stakeholders to make sure that the verification process, to make sure that they check through that each respective province followed the guidelines that were given in terms of the recruitment of the 30,000 teachers. They are checking to make sure that every name that has been shortlisted for recruitment meet the minimum qualifications. They are checking to make sure that the respective districts followed the guidelines which were given by the Teaching Service Commission to the latter. And to us, with that feedback they are giving us, we saw that it was necessary that they do a good job. It was necessary that they make sure that the process they are doing is credible, and even in engaging the Teaching Service Commission as to why the delay. The feedback they are giving us was that they were cleaning up and making sure that they follow through the processes, and we are confident that within the shortest possible time, the names of the 30,000 teachers will be released. And for us, if you talked to us asking us to when do we want these names to be out, we want the names to be out just as early as today, so that our teachers in schools can begin to prepare to receive other teachers, because they have pressure. They have a lot of work that they are doing, and they need other teachers to come on board and help them provide quality teaching and learning.
Hello, good morning. Good morning. We are able to get you, sir. How are you? And tell us where you're calling us from. We are okay. Tell us where you're calling us from and your name.
Yeah, I'm calling you from Fusa. Yes, I'm Mr. Mwamba.
Mr. Mwamba, please go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, the contribution is that what is the public they are trying to explain issues pertaining to what the minister talked about in Southern Province. We are very much concerned being a teacher serving in the rural part of Mufusa, and we have teachers who have been in the RC for 7 years. Now, if they seem to say no, people should be there and what? People are supposed to be considered because they have toiled for a long time. I'm alone from grade 1 up to 9. Now those teachers were helping me, and now they have run away after they have made that the locals are not considered. So they must be very careful, because they may bring confusion, more confusion when the list is out. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think the first thing that we must make things very clear, it's not true that the locals have not been considered. And it may also not be true to say that the locals have been considered. Why do I say so? I say so because we have not seen the list yet. But also, I say it's not true because the people who are doing teacher recruitment are the local people. I say local people because teacher recruitment has been decentralized. The teacher recruitment is not being done at national level. Neither is it being done at provincial level. The teacher recruitment is being done at district level. And it's at district level where even the caller who has called is. The schools are in the district. And we are very sure that the respective districts know the teachers who have been volunteering to help at the local level. Because the volunteer teachers, they go through the district education board secretary's office. And if the recruitment is done at district level, our assumption is that the teachers who were volunteering applied to be deployed in those respective districts where they were volunteering. And we think that if the responsible officer who was chairing the teacher recruitment at district level is the DESO or the DEBS, as the case may be, we think that these are people who understand what has been happening in their district. And if they understand what has been happening in their districts, we think that even the office of the DC, the office of the council, the offices around the district office, all of them have an interest in the teacher recruitment. And because the teacher recruitment is being managed at the lower level, our thinking and our feedback that we are getting from our union leadership that is participating in this teacher recruitment is that they are managing that process at the lowest level. And we think that because things have been done at the lowest level, consideration, first of all, must be done at the local level. And the people who have been providing a service at the local level, obviously, those must have been given the first priority, as long as they meet the requirements which are provided in the guidelines for them to be recruited as teachers. As experts in the education sector, we must also make it very clearly. We must make it very clear that teacher recruitment has minimum requirements, because sometimes these are the problems that we find ourselves in, where we think that even people who may not meet the minimum requirements for them to be employed as teachers, just because maybe they are found in the local environment, we think that those teachers must automatically be recruited. It doesn't work like that. There were very clear guidelines that were given, and we think that these guidelines were very simple and straightforward, and we are very clear that our district human resource management committees that were established by the Teaching Service Commission are teams of professionals, are teams of people with integrity, who we are sure that were able to follow these guidelines and have done a commendable job. And that's why at national level, the Teaching Service Commission, with the teams that have been constituted at national level, now they are doing due diligence to make sure that they see that the teacher recruitment in those respective provinces manage to adhere to the guidelines that were given, and that the right people who deserve have been shortlisted and are going to be employed in the 2022 teacher recruitment.
But just, I would love to get this comment from you before we come to the conclusion of our program. We did see government through the Ministry of Education, I think that was last week, saying those who are 45 are not eligible to...
Yeah, I think first of all, it is also important to put things to context. The age limit for recruitment in the public service is guided by the law, the Employment Act. It clearly provides the employment age. For example, you cannot be employed in the public service, and I think even in the private sector, if you are below 18. That's the law. And you cannot be employed in the public service if you are above 45 years. Meaning that if I'm 45, at a time of employment, I turn 45, I qualify to be employed. But when I'm above 45, the law provides that I cannot be employed in the public service. And the reason is simple. You are expected to provide a service in an event for those of us that contribute to public service pensions fund. I must provide a service to government for 20 years of unbroken service for me to qualify for pension. And that's why when they put a catch weight or an age limit, it is tied to the fact that for you to qualify to work in the public service, you must be able to work for a certain number of years before you retire. For those who could be above 45, when they are recruited, when they are above 45, it means that they will not save for the 20 years expected of service at a time when they will be expected to retire. And that is very plain. It's not the making of the Teaching Service Commission. Neither is it the making of the minister in charge of education. It is the law that guides employment in the public service in Zambia. And that is actually tied to the retirement age. And we must make these things very clear. When the retirement age was 55, the maximum recruitment age was 40, meaning that one could not be employed in the public service if they were above 40. And the reason is that you needed to work not less than 20 years at a time of your retirement. And when the retirement age was extended to 60, even the minimum age or the maximum age of recruitment in the public service was moved to 45. It's basically law. Nothing has changed. It's not that it's a new thing that has been done by the New Dawn government. It's the law that provides for employment in the public service. And it's not even the unique case of the education sector. It is employment in the public service. You must be 45 at a point of recruitment or below. And you must not be below 18 at a time when you are seeking employment. And that's what the law has provided in this country. And if we are to change that, we must again begin to revise the law. So it's not the making of anyone. It is the law that provides for employment in the public service.
Okay, even as we conclude, Mr. Kapunta, we've seen that there are many private schools in Zambia, but we've seen a rush for the public service. What really could be some of the reasons which need to be looked at maybe in the private sector that's making teachers abandon this sector?
I think there are very clear issues in the private sector. We have seen that the private sector has not lived to the provisions of the conditions of service that go with payment in the private sector. We have seen this as basic education teachers of Zambia in the many years that we have been representing some teachers in the private sector. The conditions of service which are found in a number of these schools in the private sector are very bad. And because of that, no worker would want to work in an environment where the conditions of service are pathetic. We know that a number of these private institutions, the private businesses, the private schools, the problem that they have is that majority of them, their focus is to make maximum profit, hence abusing the workers that they engage to make the money that they want to make maximum profit. We represent teachers in the private sector also. We have a directorate of private education. That directorate have found it very difficult even to penetrate in some of these big schools that we talk about in this country. And when you go to those schools, they actually charge exorbitant school fees. You can name them. But when you go to see the conditions of service which they are paying these teachers, you cannot be happy about it. And every worker would want to work in an institution where their services are appreciated, where they are paid a salary that is competitive. And when you see that majority of the teachers in the private sector are now applying to get into government, it clearly shows you that in some private schools, government is actually paying better than those private schools. In the 90s, when we started work ourselves, the private schools were actually very attractive. We were all fighting, wanting to go and work in private schools. It's not the case anymore. Majority of the teachers who are working in private schools have slave conditions. We have tried to make entry in a number of these private schools. The owners of these private schools are very resistive. And you'd see that it's a problem which they are causing a number of these institutions to begin to apply to get into government. We hope that it's not the case in the media industry. We hope that our journalists are getting the best and that they would not be fighting to get jobs at ZNBC because Camnet TV is paying them well. But in the private sector in education, our view as a labor movement is that we need to begin to strengthen the labor laws so that we begin to move in with less difficulties. Of course, we know that the labor laws are very clear on the right to organize. When people are 25 and above, they have the right to organize. But I think the challenges have been that certain conditions are pathetic.
Let me just hold your thought. We have a caller. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
You seem to have lost that call, and we're actually concluding because it's actually 9, so I can just give you concluding remarks on the topic for today.
I think first of all, our appeal as a labor movement is that let's allow the Teaching Service Commission to complete this process of teacher recruitment. It is a very critical process. We are happy that the Teaching Service Commission have done so well so far. And our appeal to the political leadership is that let's respect the structures of government, the institutions that government has given the mandate to undertake the 2022 teacher recruitment. And we think that we have credible men and women at the Teaching Service Commission who are equal to the task that they have been given, and all they need is the support from all structures of government, from us as representatives of teachers and experts in the education sector, so that we allow the Teaching Service Commission, which has the mandate to recruit teachers, to do their job well with the support from all of us. Because ultimately, when we bring in a lot of issues, we are going to delay the process of teacher recruitment unnecessarily, and that will cost the quality provision of education in this great nation. We think that we have a responsibility, all of us, to protect this country. If we compromise education, it means that we have compromised the whole system of governance. Education is key, and we must make sure that we protect education from any political influence.
All right, thank you very much. That was Mr. Kavika Kakunta from the Basic Educators Teachers Union. And earlier we were joined by Mr. Johnson, who was actually helping us discuss cybersecurity in Zambia. So this is why we come to our program for today, but do join Patrick Soko and Sharon Kalimbula tomorrow. Miriam?
Yes, Zipporah, it was a lovely discussion that we had, and I hope that we will have you next time so that we can, you know, tackle more issues concerning the teaching service. But anyway, for myself and my colleague Zipporah Mshaya and our production team, it's bye-bye and God bless.